It's really been enormous. In 2024, the revenue run rate increased by a factor of 10x from roughly 100 million to roughly a billion.
In case you haven't heard, DeepSeek is taking over the market, and other companies are frantic. Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, thinks otherwise. He says that the launch of the startup isn't that deep, pun intended. Is he right? Or should people like Sam Altman wrap it up because there's no competing with this thing? Especially with the rumours that DeepSeek beats OpenAI in key benchmarks that test these models' capabilities. See, DeepSeek's flagship model R1 was developed for less than $6 million. That figure alone puts it ahead of the curve, because it's a fraction of the cost compared to OpenAI, DeepMind, or xAI's projects. This industry is by far the most capital intensive. It combines the most expensive resources all into one: chips, massive amounts of electricity, and high-level talent. That's also another reason why DeepSeek was able to disrupt the market, being able to make a dent in the most money-hungry business model ever. Believe it or not, DeepSeek beat OpenAI in coding and mathematics, with a dash of slight reasoning improvements. They did two major tests, the AIME, or American Invitational Mathematics Examination, and the SWE Bench, Verified Benchmark, or Software Engineering Benchmark, to evaluate its ability as an AI agent, assistant, solving real-world software engineering tasks. DeepSeek scored 79.8% versus OpenAI's 79.2% on the mathematics benchmark, and 49.2% versus OpenAI's 48.9% on the coding benchmark. That's 0.06% and 0.03% better than OpenAI, which seems like nothing when you forget how little it cost DeepSeek to get that result, and also what that looks like at scale. It's the reason why analysts describe DeepSeek as a Sputnik moment for AI. To put things differently, it also surpassed ChatGPT as the leading AI app on the Apple App Store. Do you know how difficult it is to dethrone something that every single person on the internet knows of and uses pretty much daily? But despite its impressive achievements, DeepSeek isn't bulletproof. It has its fair share of vulnerabilities that blur the lines between reliability and safety. Multiple cybersecurity reports have pointed out a couple of flaws in the platform's safeguards. For example, researchers jailbroke DeepSeek's model using deceptive delight and bad Likert judge. You know what those are, right? To put it simply, they're techniques to exploit an app. In this case, some researchers fed DeepSeek a bunch of prompts that breached the app's restrictions and limitations. To this day, OpenAI's ChatGPT knows its limits, and no one's really gotten past its security. This isn't a good look on DeepSeek, by the way. Did you know countries like Italy, South Korea, and Taiwan have blocked the platform because they feel that it's a threat to national security? In the United States, the bipartisan legislation banned its use on government devices. So is this why Amodei isn't too stressed out about the whole situation? Why is he downplaying DeepSeek's significance, as if other AI models like Anthropic are doing far better? Well, the truth is, he doesn't see DeepSeek as an air quote adversary. However, he kind of emphasized how important it is to control the data that's being fed into the platform. Remember, Americans are giving China all the information it needs in the grand race to power. On top of that, everyone is well aware of the fact that China is a massive superpower with more technological expertise than the US could dream of. Why give them an unfair advantage? Amodei said, export controls are important to stop China from using advanced AI to boost its military. But he made it clear, these rules aren't about avoiding competition with China. He believes US AI companies should focus on building better models and try not to give the Chinese government a reason to stay ahead of the curve. Yes, he acknowledged how exquisite and brilliant some of the researchers behind DeepSeek have been. But in the larger scheme of things, this is all business, and you can't praise a company like this one for too long. Matter of fact, let's see what he actually said in a CNBC interview, along with a blog post. Amodei described the Chinese AI startup as composed of smart, curious researchers who just want to make useful technology. But he also said that the very smart and curious people work under the influence of an authoritarian government. What do you think he means by this, though? Researchers in an authoritarian government wanting to control exports, having the US stay ahead of the competition. It's almost as if the winner of the AI race will win the power to control every superpower on this planet. Is that really the case? And if so, then why aren't other AI CEOs reacting the same way? The CEO of ChatGPT has taken a somewhat diplomatic approach in his public comments on DeepSeek. In one of his posts on X, he acknowledged the impressive capabilities of DeepSeek's R1 model. He welcomed the competition as invigorating. He also said that he believes OpenAI is capable of making something far more powerful. He promised upcoming releases that would outperform DeepSeek. Even though this is a competitor business, congratulating a new release, many people assumed that Altman was bluffing. Why is that? Well, in March 2025, OpenAI submitted a proposal to the United States government, urging them to prioritize the advancements in AI research. In its 15-page proposal, OpenAI advocates for a hands-off regulatory approach so that the government can help with the innovation aspect of AI development. The problem is that there is the possibility of having too many state-level regulations. These could affect the progress and structure of the AI industry. In other words, the government has their eyes all over OpenAI's business, and they want a little more freedom in how they work. Altman believes only then would the US discover and launch something groundbreaking. OpenAI also proposed a voluntary partnership between the federal government and private sector companies. This would allow firms to collaborate without mandatory compliance measures. And to think all of this is because China came up with its very own AI tool, huh? The proposal even invokes China as a rival that could beat the US in AI development unless the government takes action. So, should the government listen to what OpenAI is asking of them and just let the developers loose? Are there any consequences if artificial intelligence is given that much liberty? Here comes the part of the video where we weigh the pros and cons. In this scenario, let's weigh the pros and cons of China beating OpenAI and all sorts of tools based in the US. For starters, if that were to happen, then you can kiss the US tech world goodbye. You see, if DeepSeek dethrones OpenAI, it's more than just changing the tech world. This is so serious that even politics are involved. Both countries are at the top of their game in this AI race. But if DeepSeek were to win, it would have a huge impact on the world. With each passing day, DeepSeek would be raising the standard of AI development. You'd think they would be a step ahead, but no, they would be 1,000 yards ahead. I mean, sure, there are a bunch of benefits of China being the superior AI researchers. For starters, the tools would be much cheaper. Remember, it costs DeepSeek much less than for a product that's similar, if not better than a multi-billion-dollar company. China would come up with the best tools and updates to make everyone's lives easier. You might be wanting China to win this once and for all, but the thing is, everything else will be affected. Microsoft and Nvidia are just two out of numerous examples of companies that are relying on OpenAI's success. Some think Sam Altman's proposal to the US government is an over-exaggeration, but the smart ones know that it's probably the most important thing OpenAI could have done. Do you remember when DeepSeek was launched? It was absolutely everywhere. Social media, business platforms, news articles, you name it. And when Altman saw a Chinese product making global news, he knew that he needed to ask fast. Let's say Trump approves the proposal and lets them work as they please. Would that be a good idea too? There's no denying that AI has its usefulness in our everyday lives. But of course, something so useful could never have been free, right? Activists, designers, and environmentalists are all completely against any sort of AI tool that would hit the internet. Once the proposal is approved, the backlash would only get louder. Ever since the internet was full of Studio Ghibli renders of users' personal photographs, there was one side of the crowd who didn't like how artwork like that is being made by typing in a few words. It's a threat to human creation and innovation. Designers believe they're completely out of the job in a few months' time, which is how long these AI tools take to launch their latest feature. Then again, AI is a tool to many solutions. You just need to adapt to the change, and of course, the race. So what are your opinions on this whole fiasco? Let me know in the comments below. As always, leave a like and hit that subscribe button to see more content.